for a Unicorns of Love upset.
Okay,
I'm ready
how
to
do
watch
they do
it.
How does this Unicorns of Love upset a Bwipo top lane, Reckless bot lane, Fnatic sOAZ is on the bench?
I mean, it's gonna be tough. It will definitely be a challenge, but my eyes naturally fall to Kold, the man that came into this roster and helped them grow. And while this year has not been the most fruitful, they have not achieved the results that they wanted, this guy has just been so consistent throughout the entire year that I want to see if he can end his split with a big win against currently our best team in Europe.
On a day that has already seen upsets, can Kold lead Unicorns of Love? Here's Trundle and Talia have been taken off the table. Kindred is still up, one of his most played champions. Akali Rakan on the other side of Unicorns of Love, and I'm trying to think of some of the power picks that are still up and available. I mean, we've seen the likes of Zoe do very well. Hylissang's Pyke still open and available. Sejuani's the final ban targeted towards Broxah.
Well, Nocturne is still up. The last time Broxah played it, he didn't have the best performance. He was shut down by Kikis, but still a very strong jungler in the current meta. One of the few to receive no nerfs on the current patch. And we'll see, because with Trundle banned away, you would consider that to be one of the answers, but instead, they're going to go for the undefeated champion from Hylissang, and one of his big playmakers of the split.
7 wins, 0 losses, 27 kills, 17 deaths, and 56 assists. Vedius, I'm going to make a bold statement. It's going to sound a little bit like Medics casting. Is Hylissang the best Pyke in the world?
So, I think he is.
Fantastic.
I think that there is no other Pyke as good as Hylissang. He is a terror. He is great at roaming. He is great at getting kills in lane. And it kind of implies that he's going to leave Reckless on an island. I think we're going to see another Reckless Ezreal game.
I was thinking exactly the same thing. Let's see how the rest of the draft plays out. Totoro will be locking in the braum. Only for the second time this split. Played it once before, it was a loss. And of course, will be locking in their duo already. So that Kaisa, if Reckless is assumed to play Ezreal, they kind of make this, but not necessarily blind. You know, there's an assumption.
They're going with the assumption that the bot lane is going to be a roaming one rather than a kill one. If it's Reckless, they're not going to draft Swain Pyke bot lane unless they go for an Uzi special, put Vayne up top lane, and then they go for the Swain down bot. So they're assuming that they will have a pretty easy lane to just scale in, and then they can look to try and outplay in team fights. And when we think back to Samux in the last few weeks, he's had some mixed performances, but he has had opportunities to shine, especially on this Kaisa. So I think that it's a good pick for them. They picked a pretty safe bot lane, especially with the braum in there as well.
Also undefeated, 3 games played, 3 wins to Samux and UOL. Half of their team's total wins this split with Samux on that champion. Okay, solo laners and junglers still need to be locked in. It feels like a lot of champions available to the solo lanes, and Broxah's going to be locking in the Kindred. This is his 4th appearance in summer.
This, to me, implies that Unicorns will be looking for something like a Gragas. He does offer that kind of extra tanky front line, good disengage, works well against the Kindred, and I think that it kind of ties in with this slightly more scaling orientation that Unicorns is working towards.
Okay, so what does that lead to next? We've got the duos as well as our junglers locked in. Unicorns have to pull the trigger first and pick a sort of safe solo laning, either top or mid.
So right now, I'm looking at Engage that's lacking. I think they need more Engage outside of just the Gragas. Something like an Ornn could be pretty good. They could also consider something like a Mundo or a Cho'Gath just to act as a beefy tank up in the top lane. But I think for WhiteKnight, something like the Ornn would be good here because it adds that extra bit of late game, and it's something that you can blind pick as well into many matchups that are currently considered strong on the top side of the map.
Oh, so many options available. Interesting to see a Quinn ban. I'm looking at some of the player reactions, and there's a cheeky grin on Broxah's face. It's Reckless as well.
To me, that suggests that Fnatic are looking at something like a Gnar or a Kennen towards the top side, because they're expecting Unicorns to go for an early top lane champion, and then they want to get that counter pick, and then Unicorns are going to look for a mid lane counter pick, and they're going to try and force Caps onto something that hopefully Exileh can have a favorable matchup in.
Good luck. I mean, that's such a difficult statement. Exileh favorable matchup into Caps. One of the most, you know, unreliable mid laners in Exileh in terms of his performance versus Caps, who this summer has been one of the best.
Let's not forget the last time they met, it was a 15-0-3 Caps on the Irelia, solo killing Exileh just over and over and over again. And I'm sure the Unicorns would like to very much avoid that kind of situation this time around.
Okay, so what has he played in? If you were to make an assumption, I mean, if Irelia gets locked in, obviously you have the flex possibility.
I think it's going mid though.
Yeah, but blind Irelia?
I think right now it's pretty safe considering the things that have been banned away. Oh, fun fact, Nocturne mid, really good into Irelia. I definitely know that Caps has played it before in solo queue.
When does this get old? That's the question
I'm being serious though. It is a legitimate counter pick. And we know that Caps has played some wacky stuff. We've already seen things like the Wukong come out from him, but I imagine they want a bit more AP damage from this composition. They will be able to get some of it from the Cho'Gath, and I was just kind of looking around things. I don't think they'll go for something like a Zoe, who is still available. Orianna is another potential option, but a low, slow-moving control mage is always a risk against someone like an Irelia.
Okay, so a couple seconds left to lock in the final option. What will it be, Caps? Going to be the Fizz instead. Right. Lock that one in. A few tweaks and changes recently. Another first appearance for Caps. And I like this option. What do you think of the matchup?
I think it's pretty cool. It is, I would argue that it's slightly Fizz favored. And right now we are on patch 8.15, so the nerfs have not come into Fizz just yet. If you guys have experienced him on the last patch, he is considered pretty strong, especially into melee matchups. Especially once you hit that level 6 mark, you can create a lot of threat in that mid lane. But yeah, I think that it's tough to say that this is a favorable matchup for Exileh.
Yeah.
We'll see how things play out. You can play a lot around the mid lane if you're Fnatic, but on the bright side for the Unicorns, they do have a winning matchup top. So if they're looking to play around anything, I'd love to see WhiteKnight get ahead on this Kennen.
Okay, so we got the lane matchups. We know mid, a little bit Caps, Fnatic favored, WhiteKnight top lane, especially early into Cho'Gath. What about the rest of these team compositions? UOL, they just scream somewhat death ball. They have the option to split push, of course, in the 1-4.
But I think that Kennen's going to be AP. If they're going to draft towards the Irelia, their two options are make the Kaisa an AP build. We already saw it in the LCK earlier today, and it has been a thing for a while. Alternatively, you keep Samux on like the AD carry style,
Yep.
and you move WhiteKnight into full AP burst Kennen. So these team fights will be monumental, and they group up 5 when you pair up an Irelia and a Kennen, and you have the mobility of the Kaisa. It is a very strong team fighting comp, but when you kind of look at Fnatic's comp, their team fighting isn't quite as good. They will have the Kindred to mitigate some of this burst, but there's a lot of single target, a lot of mobility. They would much prefer to play the 1-3-1 skirmish style of play.
And I definitely feel like the pick potential during the early stages of the game, with a Fizz, a Kindred, and a Pyke being able to combo up with the likes of Cho'Gath and Ezreal wherever an opportunity presents itself, maybe Fnatic can pull themselves ahead. The man that everybody is expecting to win MVP this summer in Caps. Let's see if he can lead Fnatic to another victory and a guaranteed first place. Of course, that's what's at stake here. If Fnatic lose this game and G2 win against Vitality, we will have a tiebreaker today for first and second seed. And that fight for first, that's the only way it stays alive. If that happens.
It's going to be a fun game to watch. Remember, guys, it has been the day of upsets. And this would probably be... Would this be the biggest upset of the day if Unicorns were to win? It's a tough one to call.
I think it would be. I think it would be. I think because when you look at the other teams that have dropped games, there is some inconsistencies to them. I think Schalke losing to H2K and Fnatic potentially losing to Unicorns. That's where the debate is for me.
It certainly would be.
And then it just depends on your perspective and, you know, how good do you rate Schalke versus how bad H2K have performed in summer.
That's very true. Now, tunneling on to this game, it's going to be very much about Caps. What a surprise. You already talked about him being that MVP candidate that a lot of analysts, journalists, everyone is kind of looking at. And this game will revolve around him. Kindred, really good at finding early game skirmishes. Debatable if you consider her early game ganks good. What she can do is a lot of damage. And when you have the Fizz ulti at level 6, if you land that, it's really nice setup with the Kindred to find a couple of easy kills onto the Irelia. On top of that, the bigger threat is Hylissang on Pyke. We know this guy loves to roam mid lane. We've seen it so many times. And with Reckless on the Ezreal, he's just going to look to play super defensive on the bot, while Fnatic just have their support and jungler roam around mid lane and get Caps fed.
All right, get him fed. Then let Caps play the side lanes and just insta-give everybody with that Chum the Waters combo. Early laning phase here, Caps has put a point into that playful Trickster. Already starting to shove the way forward. Bwipo also just standing in the tri-bush, waiting to see things happen. Now, Vedius, you've touched both the top and the middle lane in terms of where you think some of the strengths will go. But what about this Ezreal Pyke into Kaisa braum? You know, Hilly's already looking for that bone skewer, but how do the next few minutes play out?
you don't really expect much outside of just a bit of poke and farming. As an Ezreal Pyke, there is an element of kill pressure there, but because it's going up against a braum, that kill pressure is heavily mitigated. So due to the matchup, it should be likely, and given that Samux has just got level 2, they might actually turn this around in their favor.
All right, take a look at that. Samux jumps forward, manages to connect with that Void Seeker, but obviously there's no real follow-up. Hylissang's able to escape with his life.
So look at what Caps is doing right now. He got an early push into mid. Typically, you don't normally get that by starting with E, but he was able to find it because of the respect that Exileh was showing. This has actually allowed him to move up into UOL's jungle, and he spotted Kold out. So he knows that he's on Raptors, he knows he's topside, and this gives him a lot of freedom to play aggressively on bot. But now Exileh's level 3, gets a pretty good trade in mid.
Yeah, very good power spike there with the level advantage. I was waiting to see if that Flawless Duet would come out, look for that stun follow-up. Exileh's had a couple of good hits on that when he has played irelia in the past. Also important to note that Exileh is 3-0 on irelia, along with a 3-0 Kaisa for Samux. So
what you're saying is we're setting up very nicely for that upset we were talking about.
we are indeed. That's exactly what I'm saying. So
oh, hang on. We've got 2 undefeated champions on the side of UOL, an undefeated Pyke on the side of Fnatic. These sound like quick stats just being thrown at you.
they do, and it also means the odds are ever in Unicorn's favor with more undefeated champions. I wish it worked that way, but no, it actually does not. But yeah, I mean, we've just got ourselves the standard sort of laning phase, and truthfully, for Fnatic, it's not everything to lose. Even if they lose this game, they need G2, or G2 will need to win, and then there's still a tiebreaker match later. So for Fnatic, they are guaranteed first or second. They're guaranteed that bye, that spot in the semifinals, that trip to Madrid. But for their brand, for their summer, they would not be expecting to lose this game, and Hylissang's going to do what he can. Bonus Q onto Totoro, keeps chunking him down. And at what point, how does Hylissang get unlocked? What is the specific sequence of events that will allow him to start roaming?
So, would highly recommend people go onto the LoL eSports YouTube and check out the medic breakdown that he did of Hylissang's point of view when he did play this Pyke, because what you'll see is when Hylissang chooses to roam is very, very good. He picks his moments very smartly. Like, for example, right now, look at where Ezreal is, and he's just playing pretty safely in the bot lane, but Caps could be in danger.
All right, Caps, Playful Trickster's out. There's no stun. Going to find himself running into Totoro shortly. Flashes over the wall. Totoro follows. There comes Exileh as well with the follow-up flash. Broxah's dancing of arrows backwards. Caps going very, very low. Needs the cooldown. Not going to have it yet. One more hit may all be needed. Ignite! First blood to Totoro and Unicorn.
Oh, Unicorns really wanted to get that kill onto Caps, and they finally get it. 3 flashes were used, and Ignite was down, but the fight's not over.
All right, 2 versus 3. Totoro has been set alight by the Ignite. Phantom Undertow backwards, and Broxah, Dance of Arrows over the wall, goes back in. Unicorns get out with a couple of chickens, but they get first blood, lands in Totoro's hands.
Whew. And Caps is being put behind in the early game. It was UOL that make the first move. Totoro and Kold move to mid, and they find that early kill. Remember in Champ Select, you asked me, how do UOL find that win? I talked about Kold making those plays, being the big carry for his team to set up Exileh, to then, well, actually be the big carry for his team. But now Kold could be in some danger.
All right, good stun there onto Kold. Good damage from Broxah as well. Been tagged up. Wolf's Frenzy and Mounting Dread continue to stack up. But the Blast Cone saves Unicorn's life. It's an even gold game. Fnatic trying to set something up. Remember, Hylissang was mid. His recall just finishes before this engage happens.
Yeah, so basically here we see Exileh hitting level 5. He's not able to land the E because of the E from Caps, but then they just burn all of their flashes to close the gap. Utilizing the Raptors, oh, hang on, we see a dive up top lane. WhiteKnight is level 6 though.
Yeah, no level 6 for Caps. There's going to be some stuns going down as WhiteKnight is just eaten alive. Caps and Bwipo make that look simple.
Super clean dive from the side of Fnatic. Remember that you have a really easy way to relocate the tower aggro thanks to the Fizz E. So that dive was very easy to set up, and Exileh not really able to punish much off the back of it. Does have a bit of pressure mid, now actually looking for an invade.
All right, but where's the backup? Vision-wise, got a couple of wards inside Fnatic's jungle, but decides to back away. First items picked up, Tia for Reckless, the Lucy Boots for Caps. Gonna have additional cooldowns. I think definitely needs those Playful Tricksters and Urchin Strikes to get in and around the fights. A couple of control wards from Unicorns on the top half of the map. Whereas Fnatic, they've invested their vision in the river towards the Ocean Drake and that bottom Tribush. Thank you, observers, for highlighting that one. So for Fnatic, need to make sure that Reckless, if he's sticking around in lane, if Hilly's roaming, he has some information to work with to stay safe, even though he's on that Ezreal.
Now, you talked a little about some of the items that were being completed, and I noticed that there is a Vamp Scepter currently sitting on WhiteKnight. This does imply that he's working towards Blade of the Ruined King and a split-pushing build. This surprises me a little bit, not in the sense that like it is good against the Cho'Gath, right? It makes sense in terms of if you want to play the 1-3-1, which they can do with the Irelia, but they are lacking that AP damage.
Yeah.
The fact that Fnatic can just stack that armor up will be pretty big in these late game fights, but that implies to me that UOL won't look to go for these team fights, and instead they'll look to try and play on these side lanes, the 1-3-1, which I don't feel like they needed to. I do feel like one of their strengths from the split is just grouping up and fighting, but this kind of implies to me that's not the direction that they're heading towards so far.
All right, not the case, and we'll see how the next few minutes play out, whether or not Unicorns can actually, set up that side lane pressure. As far as pressures goes, Fnatic have the advantage. They're going to get this first dragon. They actually get first dragon in 70% of their games, so definitely a lot of control.
Which Drake is it?
That's the Ocean Drake. I don't know which one they get the most. I would have to verify that.
Of course, based on your quick stat segments this morning, none of the top teams have a relationship with any of the Drakes.
That's 100% correct. Now, actually, Fnatic have killed more Cloud Drakes than any other. 12, in fact.
Whoa.
Exactly. RNG not in their favor, maybe?
Or is it in their favor? We'll never know.
Well, look at this. Hylissang's coming up from the river. Caps lands Chum the Waters and Exileh. The Vanguard's Edge will buy some time. Broxah, Lamb, and Wolf tries to get some damage down. And they're going to trade Chum the Waters for teleport from WhiteKnight as well as Samux. Sorry, it was just Samux, in fact. Bone Skewer manages to connect onto him, and Hilly's running for his life. Now Exileh, the recipient of an urgent strike. Here comes Broxah. Exileh dashes through the Scuttle Crab. Very good stun, but he's still in trouble. Broxah with the Dance of Arrows goes forward, but a flash Bone Skewer from Hilly sets up the kill for Broxah.
Big party in the mid lane, but it ends up going the way of Fnatic. They now have their eyes set on the blue buff. Reckless has joined the fray.
All right, here comes Caps from the side. Has the ability to dash forward. No flash available. Will be up shortly. Hylissang manages to land yet another Q, and Totoro will get taken down. Caps shuts him out. 1,000 gold lead. Blue buff stolen. Ocean Drake secured. And Fnatic are just picking up the tempo in this early game.
And initially that looked pretty even for both sides, but then a crucial mistake from Exileh as a Bone Skull lands on a Samux.
Unbelievable. Hylissang does not miss that skill shot very frequently. It just really shows such control. Doesn't get a kill, but it builds the anticipation for the next Bone Skewer.
Oh, it certainly does. Now, check this play out. Caps initiates with the ultimate. Exileh can't quite avoid that one, and both him and Kold end up taking a lot of damage. Now, at this point, you think, okay, it's fine, they're in a good situation, but look at the pathing that Exileh takes. He thinks that he's fine to just follow in the footsteps of Samux and Totoro, but you've now just seen 3 members of Fnatic. Cho'Gath then comes up from behind. He then gets collapsed on, and it looks like that he might be able to get away, but then a good flash hook comes in from Hylissang to help secure that kill. And if UOL had just disengaged, not try to move through the river, not try and take that dangerous path where they had no vision, then they would have walked out okay in that scenario. But Fnatic quick to punish, and they walk out with a couple extra kills.
Yeah, very nicely done. It gives them just a small gold lead here. And Fnatic now have a little bit of tools, a little bit of control, with the dragon to their name, with starting off Herald. Like, the big objectives seem to be focused and a higher priority for Fnatic, or they're setting themselves up to secure it. Kold had that very good play for First Blood, but has not had similar levels of impact. So I want to see if he goes for any sort of dive or can set some plays up for his team in the next few minutes. Otherwise, Fnatic could just run away with this, especially with the Rift Herald as well.
Fnatic looking good so far in the early game. 11 minutes in. Caps 100% kill participation. If you guys are new to the European LCS, have never seen Fnatic play, this should be a good indication of who they like to play around. And once again, Hylissang shows up in the mid lane, unsurprisingly. But now the Rift Herald has been thrown up towards the top side. This should be the first tower of the game going towards Fnatic. And in terms of the vision game, they actually haven't set up a lot of deep wards. So this was taken pretty easily, considering the lack of setup that they had prior.
I mean, Fnatic seem to have picked up all of their kills and objectives relatively easily. There was some pressure mid early, but you got CS advantage for Bwipo mid, pretty much even. Bwipo top, pretty much even mid and bot lane, but with the gold from the tower plus the kills and assists, Fnatic are sitting very comfortable. And Exileh there, blew the flash, didn't want to get caught by the Fizz ultimate.
Here's Bwipo.
He's going to be able to sidestep that rupture. So tower number 2, heavy focus from Fnatic. They'll chunk down about a third of the hit points. Samux is making his way up through the river, but Unicorns are able to defend for now.
So the thing is, for the Unicorns of Love, they've spent so much time playing around mid. Number one, to try and get Exileh ahead, but number two, to also deny the cap snowball. The WhiteKnight has actually just been suffering in lane.
Yeah.
He has actually been falling behind Bwipo in a matchup that you would often consider to be AD Kennen favored, and he's now even in CS, and his tower has gone down. Now, that was in part due to a good roam from caps up towards the top side, and the Rift Herald tying in, but UOL have been unable to play around one of their big win conditions, which is WhiteKnight in a side lane.
Alright, so let's see what he can do to come back. Still sitting on that Vamp Scepter Merc trades. Item-wise, Wit's End, picked up by Exileh. So a little bit of a power spike there. Rushing it, I think he definitely wants to pick a fight both with Bwipo and Caps, and it'll work out against both of them.
So originally you'd think that it would make more sense to go for something like the Hex Drinker, but given that some of the damage was shifted onto Irelia's auto attacks in the recent patch, getting that bonus attack speed synergizes nicely with that. It makes a little bit more sense if you want that extra bit of magic resistance. So I understand the change in itemization here from Exileh.
Needs to get long enough team fights to get multiple auto attacks off, and to, you know, Fizz and Cho'Gath. Let's see how long Exileh survives. I want to step away from the screen for a moment and just talk about Fnatic and their season. Obviously, this is the last regularly scheduled game of the summer split, and Fnatic have just got some fantastic stats. They've got the lowest average game time at 29 minutes and 41 seconds. When this team wins, they win real quick and real well. And look at the gold difference between 20 and 25 minutes, jumping from 1.8k to 4.9k, and then most likely winning before 29:41. It's just been a fantastic summer. It's been a fantastic year for Fnatic, and the man on your screen, Caps, is a large reason as to why that's been the case, because he's just been phenomenal throughout most of the season. Now, Exileh continues to fall under pressure.
But you can never turn around for a fight because it's not a 2v2, it's a 4v2. Bwipo has kept top lane pushed up. He's already roamed down to mid. Hylissang is seeing off in a fight, and now even Reckless is here. He's now looking to play around Caps too, and then going for this mid tier 1.
Rare miss there from Hylissang. The Bone Skewer did not find its target. All right, Samux, Killer Instinct's available, but he's not going to dive into 4 members. Got himself that Storm Razor completed. And instead, Fnatic continue the siege. 2,800 gold up. Pressure in mid allows them to fall back to Infernal. Managed to pick that one up safely, and Unicorns, they're looking, they're trying to find a target, Vedius, but they just cannot keep Fnatic in place long enough to make anything happen.
Yep, Fnatic have first place in their eyes. Last split, they had a 14-4 record. This split, they're looking to get the same. Now, with the teleport being used top from Bwipo, Unicorns are looking to push up in mid, but with the wave clear from Fnatic and a good pick, they can't secure the tower.
No, definitely not. WhiteKnight makes a roam down. It feels just a little bit late. It's 15 minutes on the clock. It's a 3,000 gold lead to Fnatic. And maybe the day of upsets draws to a close today. Maybe the bottom of the table teams upsetting the top of the table teams. This is where the line gets drawn.
Well, it depends. If Deficio gets upset, that still counts, right?
Exactly. Absolutely the case.
So in terms of the game state right now, 15 minutes in, Fnatic do hold a pretty healthy lead over the Unicorns of Love. When you kind of look at the scaling aspect of it, we talked in draft about how Unicorns, assuming the Kennen would go AP, would have a solid team fight later on into the game. But Unicorns still have a strong scaling avenue. Samux on this Kaisa is always going to be terrifying the longer the game progresses. Same for the Kennen, even as a split pusher, 2-3 items, going to be very scary. Whereas Fnatic, they have a much stronger mid-game spike. 2 items for the Fizz, 2, arguably 3 items for the Ezreal as well. But mainly, it's that Baron with the Cho'Gath. They can take it relatively quickly, they can force this objective, and they have easy ways to force mid-game fights, but they can look to snowball a win.
And we have to see how Fnatic pull off those fights. You know, yesterday, Caps and that LeBlanc play a little over-eager at times.
At times.
You know, they had a very large lead, they could play that way. But cast your mind back to last week when Fnatic played Splice, and it was a 54, 55-minute game where Fnatic almost lost because they weren't able to convert that mid-game into a game win on stage here. And let's see whether or not Fnatic have fixed some of those missteps from last week. And especially for the fans here in the audience, the Love Hurts crew are all dressed up to the nines. We need to see off the Unicorns of Love 2018 season and see whether or not they can bring it back. So, there's a good Hook into the stun. Exile's going to dash forward to the blade search. Vanguard's edge buys a lot of time. That's already a kill to Unicorns of Love. Lamb just might buy some time. Look how low Fnatic are. That's one, that's two, that's three. Unicorns of Love are crushing Europe's #1 team. Caps is golden for now thanks to the stopwatch, and he continues to run for his life. Unicorns get 4 quick kills.
That turns into a massive teamfight win for the Unicorns of Love. They just killed 4 members of Fnatic completely out of the blue, and that was beautifully played by Exileh. The use of the Q from the irelia, the fact that he just threw out the ultimate and they knew they could go for the fight, exquisitely done, and that could be the key to allow Unicorns to come back into this game.
Okay, so where are we keeping our eyes as this plays out? Just follow Exileh?
Initially, it looks like Exileh is caught out of position, but keep your eyes on Samux specifically because he goes into the backline of the fight. Look at where he is right now, right? He's in the thick of everything, and that Kindred ultimate actually keeps Exileh alive long enough to then end up winning the fight off the back end of it. But now we see another pick in mid. Oh, now Samux is dead.
Yeah, Samux is
just
dead.
As I try to praise him.
So it was a 4-for-0 in the jungle in favor of Unicorns of Love. It closed the gold lead. As we jump out of the replay, Samux gets fish hooked in the mid lane. 4 kills to 5. Fnatic have got themselves 2 towers and 2 dragons, and they're looking for their 3rd, while Unicorns just picked up their 1st tower of the game. So, you know, I was just about to start, hitting the nails in the coffin for Unicorns of Love, and Exileh just sends a resounding message that game on. 3-1-2, working towards that Trinity Force. He's got something to say for his last game here of the regular season.
Yeah, and I mean, like, the big game spike is not terrible for the Unicorns of Love. You can already see Storm Raid's a finish for Samux. Once he gets that Rage Blade, he's going to be a pretty damage-heavy dude. So these mid-game teamfights are going to be exciting to watch. Kold's ultimate is about to come off cooldown. The wave clear is more than enough to keep this tower alive for now. Keep your eyes on where Exileh is.
All right, take a look. There goes Kold's ultimate. It bobs Bwipo to the side. The tower stays alive for now. Chum the Waters is just going to get sidestepped. Samux and Kold manage to escape. True Shot Barrage flies across, and at 19 minutes, this mid tower stands. It remains defiant in face of all of Fnatic's pressure. And look, they're still not done. This is a 5-man mid push.
But it's because of the side lanes. Right now, Fnatic have push, and UOL are kind of being divided. Exileh is spotted out on this ward. Will they go for a fight?
Well, it looks like it. Exileh takes the blast cone in, doesn't find an opportunity. Unicorns are dancing on the edge of danger, and Fnatic, they still are unable to take the tower. The waves will just be caught by UOL now. But you can see Fnatic have to reset.
They need to get up topside because that wave is slow pushing towards Fnatic, and you want to clear this wave out as quickly as possible because it's just farm that's being wasted to minions, and then Bwipo can just go catch that big wave, building him an even bigger advantage over WhiteKnight in a side lane, or even give the farm rather over towards Caps. So that's why they need to get that push going on. That's why UOL couldn't afford to keep that tower alive. And at this point in the game, if you lose that mid tower, it's not the end of the world. You're still at a healthy point, 20 minutes into the game. Once they hit those big spikes, then they'll be more than happy to... I mean, obviously you don't want to concede towers for free, but at this point in the game, it's fine losing that tower.
You can accept it,
yes.
Right? It's much less damning than at 10 minutes in,
yes.
for example. Take a look at the items, by the way. Working towards the Righteous Glory as well as the Abyssal Mask on the side of Bwipo. Caps is sitting on his Hourglass, may need that. Going into the Wit's End as well as the Phage. No flash for Exileh. Exileh continues to chase forward, not going to get taken out. Caps manages to flash to save his life. And I really thought Exileh was going to take him out. Unable to stick right now.
So, fun fact, the Q range on irelia was nerfed this patch, and I think that nerf is what kept Caps alive, because he used it to dash to a minion as he was trying to escape after Caps burned the flash, which meant that he was just out of range of finding that final kill. But Exileh getting a really good outplay in the end to force Caps back is the kind of performance we want to be seeing from the mid laner of the Unicorns of Love.
Absolutely the case, and for Exileh and his undefeated mid lane pick of irelia, 3-0, needs to show up. Now, Broxah used that Dance of Arrows just to escape Kold there, as well as WhiteKnight. After picking up the 2nd Ocean Drake, that's the 3rd of the game. As far as late game insurance go, multiple dragons on the side of Fnatic and Kaisa irelia on the side of UOL is going to be interesting to see who's going to be able to play around those objectives. Because for the time being, Fnatic, they're still unable to knock over that mid tower. This is so crucial for UOL to stall and keep delaying and buy more time to farm.
Yes, and exactly, that is exactly what they want, especially for WhiteKnight in a side lane who, by going for the AD build, needs those items to even consider being a threat. But now Fnatic, they pushed out top, they pushed out bot, they have their eyes on mid, and they will finally take down that tower.
And as a reminder, a few minutes ago, Vedius, we talked about Fnatic's average gold lead at 20 minutes. It was around 1.8k. It's just a little bit higher than that as we've gone past 22 minutes. on the clock. Let's see if Fnatic can continue to grow that lead. This is the passage of play where they have shone all summer long. Samux has got that killer instinct available. I wondered if he wanted to pull the trigger, but with Exileh and WhiteKnight fully committed to the top and bottom lanes, Unicorns don't really want to go in 3v4, 3v5.
It looks like UOL made the decision to try and trade 2 towers in mid for maybe a top tower and a bot tower, but they're taking this very slowly. Exileh's now by himself. He's just used the E. He could lose his life here.
Well, bot flash available to him, and he just to sidestep the bone skill.
Just get out, Exileh.
Look how much respect there is. With no chum the waters from Caps, decides not to go in for that all-in, doesn't want to get into a, you know, bash battle with this Wits End and near Trinity Force. I think it's just been picked up now. Irelia, because Exileh hurts. We've seen that happen already.
Irelia, Trinity Force, Wits End, definitely scary. There's the Wits End now completed for WhiteKnight. There's the Rage Blade done for Samux. And remember, we talked about Fnatic having a good mid-game spike. You have a good tank in the form of Bwipo. Second item not yet finished for Broxah. Very nearly done with the Black Cleaver. There it is. And now you also have 2 items done for both Reckless and Caps. So that mid-game spike is in full effect for Fnatic. Similar state for the Unicorns of Love. So fights being forced right now, there's no guarantee that it's going to go one way or the other. So Caps is instead looking for picks on a side lane. But given that he is not spotted on the map, UOL using this to gain vision around the Baron. They might actually start this off. No, okay, good.
Yeah, I held my breath when they stepped into the pit. Top outer tower will fall. Numbers advantage for Unicorns up there.
Look at the bot lane though.
How many teleports are up for Fnatic? On Bwipo as well as Reckless. So if Unicorns wanted to force Fnatic's hand...
All right, now they got to do it. They start the Baron, they'll force the teleports out from Bwipo.
I mean, Exileh, Samux, WhiteKnight can do a lot of damage.
Whoa. Do they know? Do they know?
Fnatic may not know. Vision's coming up. Broxah's going to make his way. Yeah, this is going to be so close.
They got it.
1100, 600. It's secured by the Unicorns of Love. But where's the Bone Skewer? A target onto Kold connects. Here comes Broxah from the side. Chum the Waters tags on Kold behind. He's going to get knocked up into the air. Caps continues to chase with the help of Reckless. There's the explosive cost. Teleport coming down from WhiteKnight. This will make it a 5v5. But Unicorns, they've escaped so far, and they've got Baron.
Run, Unicorns, run! You got to get away from the Fnatic horde that are looking for kills.
Oh, the Love Hurts crew are going to be ecstatic if Unicorns can get away. Exileh's in trouble, gets a multi-man stun, turns it back around, but he is shut down in the process. Hylissang gets a follow-up onto Kold, but there's no damage from Fnatic yet. Here comes Caps, death from below, not going to be enough. True Shot Barrage flies across the Unicorns team. Defensive flashes from Totoro and Samux as they take a blast cone to safety. WhiteKnight in the interim is pushing down mid. He got himself a tower. It's an even gold game and a couple of Barons on the Unicorn squad.
So UOL were just buying time for WhiteKnight to push down mid. He's now showing respect towards Fnatic, and he's going to get out of there to save the Baron. Fantastic play from the Unicorns of Love. I thought Fnatic were well aware of what was going on because they saw UOL clearing out that vision. They saw them grouping up around the Baron, but instead they did not expect them to do it. They were just leisurely pushing the waves up, farming away, and it was too late before they realized that UOL had secured the big objective.
Do you believe that upset day continues? Can you visualize an end state of this game, Vedius, where Unicorns take down Fnatic?
I can see it happening, quick shot. The undefeated streak for both Samux and Exileh on their respective champions could continue today. And what a way to end your final game of the regular season. Fnatic, they want to secure that first place spot. A loss here, reminder, will result in tiebreakers depending on how the results of the day go, but it means that first place is not locked in just yet.
It's not. If you look at the standings as well, just before this next potential fight, Fnatic 13-4. If they lose and G2 win, then that will give us 2 additional tiebreaker games today, with one of them being that battle for first and second seed. Unicorns need to close the game out there. They've got 1 minute and 20 left on this Baron. They've taken the bottom inner turret. Now they're looking to escape. Info's Rupture did not find an appropriate target. But I get nervous. I'm waiting to see what Hilly does as he's trying to make his way in. Doesn't find a target though.
Oh, okay. Totoro used the heal because he had the unsealed spellbook. I was a little bit confused there. That's absolutely fine. Braum ulti used just as a disengage tool.
Glacial Fissure comes down. Caps and Hilly continue to look forward. They're looking for kills. While all of this is going on the mini-map, Exileh was pushing in the top lane, trying to play the map. So Vedius, it feels like UOL have got elements of split push and team fight, and they're mixing it at the right time.
So I think what UOL were doing in that specific situation was they pushed towards bot, but they recognized Exileh had to catch the farm up top side, and because he doesn't have teleport, they didn't want to go for a 5 versus 4. They just wanted to avoid Fnatic at all costs. As a result, they secure a tower. They don't lose anything off the back of it. Fnatic still sit with the gold lead. Now they will secure the 4th straight of the game as well. But it looks like that there's no Elder spawning just yet. But when it does, Fnatic will look scary.
Oh, it's terrifying. Already got a Mountain Drake, another one to add to the collection if Unicorns don't contest. Unicorns are content right now. 5-man stack in the mid lane. Actually going to get a lot of damage onto it. They might just take this tower.
Ooh,
it's going down low, 10%. Just survives by the skin of its teeth. They're not done yet. Totoro goes golden thanks to the use of that stopwatch. Unicorns continue to retreat. Totoro is the first to fall. Caps continues to chase. Chum the Waters has been used, so cannot stick to anyone further. And it's going to be up to Hylissang. Death from below will not find a target. And the Bone Skewer Flash finds Kold once again. It feels like he's been caught every single time. Hourglass will save Caps' life for now as Exileh is jumping forward to the help of WhiteKnight. Look at Exileh! He's tearing Fnatic apart. He's not done yet. Samux in the back end takes down Caps. Looking for Broxah. Won't find him just yet. Unicorns of Love get 2 for 2 in the trade, but they're pushing back down mid.
Unicorns of Love turn a big fight around. Remember how low that mid health bar was? UOL want to remove it completely. That looks like an inhibitor going in favor of the Unicorns, and now that gold is going to swing in their favor.
Oh, look at this. The inhibitor starts to be focused. The Unicorns of Love fans here in Berlin are cheering, and despite Hilly finding another skill shot is simply not enough. Samux 2-1-3, undefeated on his Kaisa, next to the undefeated Exileh on Irelia, are giving Fnatic a hell of a fight. They have a gold lead, they have a map lead, they have Baron buff, and now they have super minions in the mid lane.
Oh, what an exciting day of games today, Quick Shot. We've had so much fun stuff. So many things happen that we weren't expecting to see. Splice playing super early game focused and getting a convincing win at the start of the day. H2K finding their 2nd win of the split. Rocket getting the upset, and now Unicorns of Love finding a huge gold lead over Fnatic off the back of this big fight. Totoro takes up a lot of the initial burst damage from Caps, which means that as he's chasing, remember, he doesn't have that ultimate available. Now, they believe that with the numbers advantage, Fnatic should still be able to win out on the fight. Flash comes in from Hylissang, they chunk out Kold, but then look here. Exileh gets a beautiful ulti off combined with the WhiteKnight ulti, and the combined CC with the damage from Exileh is enough to turn the fight around, and then Samux comes in to try and clean up the back end of the fight.
Oh, and he does indeed. Really gets a couple extra kills for Unicorns. Sets them up well at the 30-minute mark. Totoro's going to run into Fnatic. It's a 2-man rupture. Totoro's already down. The feast was what closed it out. Now 5 versus 4. It is a 40-second death timer, a 60-second Baron timer. Fnatic should get uncontested vision superiority inside the Unicorns jungle.
Impressive that Fnatic were able to so quickly move up towards the top side of the map and gain all this vision. If we could just quickly toggle to the UOL vision, you'll see how dark it is right now for them on the top side of the map. Big mistake to go for that face check. Did result in Totoro losing his life, but he's now picked himself up the cleanse. He's going to respawn before the Baron is enabled. But the important thing here is that Fnatic can reset. Look at their inventories. You're about to see a bunch of control wards be picked up, I hope, because the Baron is going to be the big primary objective that both teams look to play around.
I was thinking about it as well. Not only are the Love Hurts crew happy about what they're seeing, but the G2 army are ecstatic. If Unicorns can close this game out and G2 can beat Vitality in our next game, then that means we will have that tiebreaker game for 1st and 2nd seed. G2 eSports will be playing Vitality, and of course, if Vitality win that next game, we'll have all of our tiebreakers tomorrow. We'll break down those reasons a little bit later. Right now, Baron has been started by Unicorns. It's going so low. Exileh, WhiteKnight, and Samux are melting through. Broxah can hop over the wall with that dance of arrows. He's inside the pit. He's got Lamb's Respite to buy some time, but he's not going to get needed yet. While Broxah's focusing, Baron, the fight breaking out on the left. Lamb's Respite buys time. Exileh's dashing forward. He's taking out Reckless, but Caps is still alive. Baron is the focus, and Broxah's still inside the pit. Spike fight! Picked up by Fnatic! People go mad in Berlin, but the fight is won by UOL. It is 0 kills for Fnatic.
Why is he farming?
2-4 for Unicorn. Unicorns of Love and UOL, they're barreling down mid.
Wait a minute, look at the death timers, quick shot. There's 30 seconds right now on Reckless. There are 5 members of the Unicorns. There is no inhibitor in mid lane. Could Unicorns end the game right now?
Yes, they can, and that will mean the fight for first is back on the table. Unicorns of Love looking to shut down Caps. He's trying to get as much damage to the minions as possible. 10 seconds before Reckless comes up. Nexus turret number 1 is about to fall. Caps is still alive. Nexus turret number 2 is about to fall. Reckless just spawned. The Nexus is the focus. It's going low. Unicorns need a few more hits, and they've taken down Fnatic.
The day of upsets, ladies and gentlemen. Week 9, day 2. Unicorns of Love find the win against the best team in Europe, and what a way to do it.
What a send-off to the 2018 season. The last regular season game for the Unicorns of Love, taking down Reckless, Fnatic, and Bwipo, as well as the rest of the crew, in what was a very tense game.
Oh, it was so much fun. That final round fight, Exileh came up huge, killing Reckless multiple times throughout the entire game. Caps unable to be that big carry that Fnatic needed him to be in this matchup. And now G2 have the potential to steal away first place.
Unbelievable turn of events. So many shocking results today. And that, of course, leaves us with only 2 options left for tiebreakers. Young Vedius. If G2 win, we will have a tiebreaker between Fnatic and G2 for first and second, as well as Misfits and Vitality for 4th and 5th. If Vitality win, then the battle for the bye starts tomorrow between G2, Schalke, and Vitality. That's what Unicorns has done. Unicorns has created this scenario, but look at that gold graph and look how close the metrics are.
Oh, it was so much fun to watch. The Unicorns of Love, final day of the split. You can never afford to count this team out, and I was worried they were falling behind. But let's not forget that one big fight around the dragon. It wasn't even the objective that they were fighting for, but Exileh and Samux came up huge. They were able to find a very quick 4-0, and that is what started the comeback. That's that big dip that you're able to see. I mean, there were lots of big dips. Yep. It was one of those big dips that you were able to pull off.
All right, let's take a look back at how Unicorns of Love did pull off this amazing upset, starting with a couple
of replay
earlier on
that I was talking about. And, you know, we also have to note that Broxah flashes in. Ultis keeps Exileh alive while trying to keep himself alive, and this just allows the rest of the Unicorns to reposition, buy time, wait for the cooldowns to come back up. And then Caps finds himself in a 1 versus 4 that he just can't get out of.
Unbelievable. Exileh and Samux, they are now 4-0 respectively on their champions, and for the first time, Hylissang has a loss attributed to his Pyke.
And this was the final Baron fight. Broxah doing a good job of trying to keep the Baron alive, but look at Exileh, 2 versus 1 against both Caps and Broxah. Caps and Reckless ends up finding himself a kill. He even gets a second one. He gets a kill onto Pyke as well. Beautiful play from him on the backline while the rest of the Unicorns try and secure the Baron. And while Broxah does get it, it costs him his life. And Fnatic just ends up losing the game off the back.
Blind pick irelia. The counter pick Fizz did not work for Caps. You guys at home need to tell us who you think player of the game is. WhiteKnight, Exileh, or Samux? It is a hell of a hard decision for me. Go on to @LOL_esports on Twitter. Let us know who you will be voting for. We will announce that a little bit later. And of course, let's see whether or not Unicorn kicking Fnatic's ass has cost them that #1 seed going to playoffs. Because it's close, it's risky.
It was super close. G2 now have it all in their hands to take first place.
They do. And of course, I've waffled so much, we do need to move on. Coming up next, Vitality will take on G2 eSports with the 4-time EU LCS champions looking to force that tiebreaker game against Fnatic. More on that in a few minutes, though. First, let's hear with Law, as well as UOL's jungler.
Thank you very much, Trevor. Upsets everywhere today, and UOL made no exception here. So what does it mean to you to beat the first team in the standings today and denying them first place?
A little bittersweet, I think. This kind of led up to this the whole season. In practice, actually, we often play against Fnatic, and we have pretty good results, honestly, against Fnatic. But usually on stage, we just falter a bit. And I felt like this week, we just played very calm and collected, and you could really feel in the guys that there wasn't really that much to play for, you know?
Oh, you can hurt
Thank you
him,
so
guys.
much.
Come
Thank
on.
you so much.
But to be honest, I mean, today we just wanted to win for. Honestly, I asked Wonder yesterday. I was like, "Do you want to get the first place?" And he was like, "Yeah, why not?" You know. And then so I had to win for him. So yeah.
So a nice hug from them here. They can thank you, really, for this one. I wanted to know, yesterday the casters referred to you as the standout player in UOL. How does it make you feel?
I mean, League of Legends is a team game, you know? You're not better than your team, you're not better than the worst player. The best player can't shine if the weaker players don't do their job. I think it's very apparent that the game is a league game, and I would not be a standout player if my teammates didn't do their part as well. So honestly, I think this week, especially, a lot of shout out to Samux and Exileh for really putting on the carry pants. They were the guys that carried these games, in my opinion. So I didn't really do that much, honestly. I just did my job, and then they were shining, and that is what makes a good team. So I'm happy for them, and I think it meant a lot for us that we can still show that we are capable of doing things in the league and in the game. Even though you're a bottom team, we still have the ability to upset the first team. So I'm really happy with how we ended the season.
Now let's project ourselves a bit here up to next year. Where would you like to improve coming into the LCS in 2019?
What would I like to improve? Winning more.
In what way? You as a player, for
Winning more
instance.
League of Legends games is always a great thing. I always had this dream that I wanted to lift a trophy, and it's kind of far away, but that is my goal, that I wanna achieve that. I'm probably never gonna stop reaching for this. Maybe when I'm 40 and I didn't lift it yet, maybe that's why I quit it, you know, but that's still my dream, and I still want to do that, even though it seems really far away. But I think it's important as a player that you set yourself goals that you can reach, even when it looks a little bit tough.
And I wish you good luck on achieving this goal.
Thank you.
Have the best attitude to do it, obviously. So thank you for joining me on stage today.
Thank you.
And we're going to turn on the other side of the stage for Draco's playoffs checkup.
Thank you very much, Laura. Good to hear that Kold wants to stay until 40. He's already given us a great gift today, and that is the fact that the fight for first is alive and well. Now, our Foldy sheets all but dead at this point, but we have two scenarios. Now, in the event that G2 wins the next game, ladies and gentlemen, we get it. It is the tiebreaker for first. Fnatic versus G2 for first seed. Our second tiebreaker will be Misfits versus Vitality. That is the battle for fourth place overall. It's a battle for seeding in their coming quarterfinals matchup. Important to note that if either of these, or if this situation happens, we will be playing both of those games this evening. So everyone in the crowd is going to get an extra 2 games of League of Legends. It's going to be a good look overall. Now, the other situation is going to put us into a 3-way tiebreaker for second. That is Vitality, that is Schalke, that is G2, all battling it out tomorrow to see who's going to come out on top there overall. So those are the scenarios. Only 2 left. If you got your Foldy sheets, it's pretty easy at this point. I'm looking forward to it. Everything on the line for these teams. G2 need a win here if they want to take first place in the EU LCS. That's all from me. When we get back, our final match of the day, potentially, we're going to have to find out.